So it's noon, so we'll begin. I want to thank you all for joining in today. We'll record this session, by the way, so we can mount it on our YouTube channel. I'll be introducing Josh Taylor, who's going to talk to us today about the whole StoryBrand approach. But just to give you a little background, it was actually one of our clients who introduced me to the concept, and it was 2.5 years ago. And I got Donald Miller's book, Building a StoryBrand, and I was absolutely fascinated by everything he had to say. And what I did was I really dove into it, trying to figure out how we should rebuild our Vision Systems website. And in fact, even 2 years ago, hired a StoryBrand coach to help me with all the wording and everything else. But it never actually came together for me. And then it was maybe 6 weeks ago that Donald Miller had a demonstration or a workshop or whatever you want to call it for about an hour. And just the way he presented things and moved some things around, all of a sudden the penny dropped. So back on the May 24th long weekend, I sat in on a 2-day live stream workshop that Don Miller and a couple of his staff ran. And they would show us different principles around StoryBrand. And then what we did was we went into breakout sessions where we worked with our individual coach. And I can't remember, there were 8 or 10 people in our coaching group. And then we would practically apply what we had learned to our particular website. Long and short was that Josh was my coach, and I just thought he did a superb job with everybody. So I invited him to do a presentation today. Now, Josh has said he can't do the quote unquote official StoryBrand presentation because we're recording it. And of course, it's, I'm sure, copyrighted material. So he's going to go through the principles and show us the essential concept. Anything else I should just mention by way of introduction, Josh?
No, we've got another live stream coming up in July. If we go through this and anyone is interested in joining that, in the Q&A session at the end, I'll put the link. And if you use the link that I put in there, we can get you put into my group. Unless you just feel like maybe we need somebody else to coach us through this, then don't use my link. But I'll put that in there if you're interested in jumping in on the July workshop that they're going to be doing.
Good. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention, as much as we're going to talk about websites today, what in fact Miller talks about is he really talks about, I'm just going to call it marketing collateral, whether it's newsletters you send out, individual letters, or whatever it might be, all of it, websites, newsletters, etc. He talks about applying the whole StoryBrand approach. So it's not just, limited to websites. Anyway, back to you, Josh. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Michael. I really do appreciate you having me on here doing this. I've worked with people in the financial industry in the past, and I have seen a big difference that it makes. Last week, I was in Houston, Texas, working with a company that has existed for 4 years. And for 4 years, they've really struggled to talk about what they do. And when they describe, they have 2 products that are really interesting products. But when they talk to people about what they do, people are confused about who their audience is and what benefits they have. When they start talking about their products, they start talking about the features. And what we spent 2 days doing last week is talking about how they should actually talk about their products. What it did was not only give them clarity about who their customer was, but there were employees, full-time employees that they had that finally realized what they do. Like they had no idea what their company actually did, which was absolutely amazing that you could have people who have been working there full-time for a year with no idea how to talk about the products that they have. And another company in the same boat that is here locally with me in Alabama, they have existed for 10 years. They make, I think they hit $14-15 million last year. And half of their employees still have no idea how to tell people what they actually do, what the company does. And so we actually walked through it, and we worked with our sales team. We actually wrote it just an email using the StoryBrand framework that I'm about to show you. We wrote one single email for their corporate sales company, and they just landed with that email 2 of their biggest clients they've ever had. And so they're really excited about that. And that was just a single email using the StoryBrand framework, because we came up with some clear messaging. And instead of writing a whole bunch of information in the email, we wrote the right information. And so that's what the StoryBrand framework helps us do. This is a messaging framework that you would use, like Michael said, in all of your marketing collateral. But the important part of it is learning how to message your business. So the idea behind the framework is realizing that your customers, their brain does 2 things very specifically. One, their brain is looking for information that's going to help them survive and thrive, which means that they're looking for information that's going to help them increase their standing in the world, make better friends, make more money, save time, these different things, increase their standing in the world. But it's also trying to conserve calories. And so while it's looking for all of that information, it's looking for the information that it can understand the fastest on how to do that. How can I, if our brain wasn't doing this, it would be like in the morning, if you're making toast, we wouldn't be able to move beyond the toaster, because our brain would be staring there, looking at it, at the toaster, and saying, well, why is the toaster silver? Well, because our brain is wired the way that it is, it says, you know what, it doesn't matter to your survival why that toaster is silver. Let's move on to the next thing. That toaster is there for you to toast your bread, get it done, and let's move on. And that's what your customers' brains are doing. We're constantly bombarded with information all day long, and we are looking for the information that's going to help us survive and thrive, but the information that we can understand how to do that the fastest. We don't buy the best products. We buy the products we understand the fastest. We don't follow the best leaders. We follow the leaders that we understand the fastest. That's how our brain is wired. That's how your customers' brains are wired. So the StoryBrand framework helps us tell the story that our company needs to be telling in a way that is compelling to our customers and doesn't confuse our customers. Especially in the financial industry, there's a lot of confusion about that industry. There's a lot of confusion about what it is, who does what, how you're supposed to do this, who do I pay, what am I paying, what am I buying, how am I making money, all of these different things. There's a lot of confusion in your industry, and you can't afford to add confusion to the messaging that's already out there. And what I encourage financial advisors to become is to really become advocates that are going to change what's wrong with your industry. And I would position yourselves that way. What is wrong with our industry, and how do we solve that problem? And how do we solve those problems for our customers? So the StoryBrand framework is, we call it the StoryBrand 7-part framework, but there's actually 8 parts to it. The first part of it is the character transformation. So when you begin to think about your products, or you begin to think about your company, where is your company taking people? Where are they going to go? Who are they going to become because they do business with you? What is the aspiration that they long to have, or who do they long to be that your company can help them achieve? Maybe it's financially stable. Maybe it's wealthy. Maybe it's financially independent. Maybe it's leaving a legacy for their children. Who is it that they aspire to become, and how does your company get them to that place? We need to be very clear to our customers. Here's where we're taking you. So they are in one place, and your company is going to take them. They're going to transform into someone different, and your company is going to help get them there. And then we move to the first part of the framework, and that's called our character. And our character, in every story, we're introduced to a character, and that character wants something. They want to become something. They want to have something. They want to accomplish something. They want something that your company sells. And we need to identify what that is that they want. If you're a financial advisor, you're an investment advisor, they want sound advice to help them achieve their financial dreams, or the life that they long to live. If you're an insurance salesman, then they want to protect the life they've worked hard to build. These are the things that our character wants. If you're a movie buff, and my son is obsessed with Star Wars right now, he's 5 years old. and he is obsessed with the bad guys in Star Wars. But when we watch it together, we look at Luke Skywalker. Skywalker wants to become a Jedi. He wants to defeat the Empire, but really he wants to become a Jedi like his father was. And so we're introduced to the character. We need to identify who our character is and what it is they want in terms of what they sell. Another way that I rephrase the question is, what do people Google when they're looking for your company? Or when they find your company, what are they Googling? And start thinking about and identify the one thing, not the two things, not the three things, not the four things, the one thing that your customers want. But a story doesn't really become interesting until there's a problem. We need to identify the problem that is getting in the way of our character and what they want. So Luke Skywalker wants to become a Jedi. Well, there's a problem. There is one, he's stuck on Tatooine. Or it might be that the Empire has taken over the galaxy, and in order for him to become a Jedi, he has to defeat the Empire. There's something that's standing in the way of what our character wants. But there's three levels of problems. There's the external problem, that tangible thing that's in the way. And then there's the internal problem, how that problem makes them feel. And then there's that philosophical problem, the good versus evil, the what's just plain wrong with the fact that they have to deal with this problem. The philosophical problem is a great way for you to, like I said earlier, become advocates for what's wrong with your industry. The philosophical problem is you should be able to make financial decisions with someone that you trust, or you should be able to have someone who is there on the journey with you to make those financial decisions to achieve your dreams. Or it shouldn't be difficult for you to achieve your financial dreams or achieve the life you dream of. That's the philosophical problem. People will come to you because you can solve their external problem. People will buy from you if you can solve their internal problem, if you can get rid of that feeling. So what is that feeling that your customer has with the problem that's standing in the way of them getting what they want? Maybe the external problem is something that is wrong with your industry, or maybe it's that they don't have the resources to achieve those financial dreams, and it makes them feel hopeless, or it makes them feel lost, or it makes them feel uneducated, whatever it might be. Maybe it makes them feel untrusting. So identify what that internal feeling is. That's where you begin to separate yourself from the competition. Again, there are financial advisors and investment advisors and all these people scattered all over the world. There are a dime a dozen. People find you based on the external problem that you solve for them, but not everybody is solving that internal problem. I know a lot of you are from Canada, and I don't know if there is a Chick-fil-A in Canada. I think there is. But if you are familiar with Chick-fil-A, another great company is In-N-Out Burger that does this really well as a fast food company. But when you walk into a Chick-fil-A, the external problem that they're solving for me is I'm hungry. I need lunch. That's the obvious problem that's in the way. But when you walk in, the bathrooms are clean. The people there are polite that work there. The people that are there want to be there. They're taken well care of from the company. And it's great food. Burger King, on the other hand, when I walk into a Burger King, I don't really want to be there. The employee doesn't really want to be there. Neither of us want to be there. Burger King is more interested in solving my external problem. Just give me food to eat. But they're not interested in solving my internal problem of not feeling disgusting when I walk into a fast food place. Chick-fil-A is not only solving my external problem, but they're solving my internal problem. And Chick-fil-A makes more per capita and makes more money in 6 days of business than Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's combined in 7 days. So there is something to solving that internal problem for your customers. So identify what is the external problem that's keeping your customer from getting what they want. How does that problem make them feel? And why is it just plain wrong that they should be dealing with that problem? And then we move on to another character. And this is kind of the big idea with the StoryBrand framework. We call this character a guide. For centuries, storytellers have been bringing in this second character called the guide. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's Obi-Wan or Yoda to Luke Skywalker. This is Gandalf to Frodo in Lord of the Rings. And the guide has one job. It's to help the customer or the character win the day. How do we help our character get what they want? How does Obi-Wan Kenobi help Luke Skywalker become a Jedi? This is the role that your company should play. You never want to play the hero in the story. Our character is the hero in the story. Your company needs to be the guide, that steady hand of leadership that's going to give them the plan that they need to help them get what they want. It's someone that they can trust. It's someone that's going to help them get there because it's somebody that's been there. So there's two parts to being the guide. There's empathy. You've been there before. You know their feeling. You know their pain. If you look at U.S. politics and you look at Bill Clinton won his election because of a very simple line that he had in one simple debate. Somebody asked about the economy, and George H.W. Bush answered with a very technical question about the economy. It wasn't very empathetic. It was a lot of information. It was information that probably most people didn't even know what he was talking about. And then Bill Clinton's turn came to answer the question, and he looked at the woman that answered the question, and he asked two questions. He said, do you know someone that has lost their job in this economy, and how is that making them feel? And then he looked at her, and he looked at the camera, and he said, I feel your pain. He expressed empathy. And that was a turning point for Bill Clinton's campaign. There's another part to this, and that's authority. You want to express authority. You know you've been there. You have what it takes to help the character get what they want. And so you want to have that authority. We probably go heavy in most businesses. We go really heavy on the authority. We talk about all of our awards. We talk about all the great things that we've done. We talk about our great workplace metrics. We talk about, all of our reviews and testimonials. And we probably overdo this and don't do enough empathy. I like to throw in a little bit of authority and express a lot of empathy. Empathy builds trust. People need to know you've been there. If you watch the movie The Hunger Games or have read the books, Haymitch was a great guide to Katniss because he knew how to win the Hunger Games because he'd been there before and he'd done it and he had a plan. But the guide never changed. Haymitch never changed throughout those 4 movies. He was an alcoholic at the beginning. He was an alcoholic at the end because he wasn't the hero in the story. We didn't care as much about Haymitch's transformation as we did about Katniss's transformation. That she's the hero of the story. He was the guide to help her get what she wants, to win the Hunger Games and really overthrow the government that was there, the oppressive government. Haymitch had the plan to do that, and he knew how to help Katniss win the day. And that's the role that we have as guides. People wake up every day as the hero in their own story. And if you try to be the hero in the story and they're the hero in their story, then you're not in the same story. And so we want to enter into that story as the guide to help them win the day. How do you, as the guide to your customers, help them get what they want when it comes to financial services? And how can you express that empathy to that? Our empathy often ties back into that philosophical problem of you shouldn't have to deal with this, or we understand how confusing financial services can be. We understand how personal your finances are. It's one of the most personal things that we have in our lives. So that's the third part of the framework, is that guide, and we want to play the guide. And then we move into the plan. And the plan is where we give them 3 simple steps to do business with us. It's like when we come across a raging river and there's a waterfall at the end of the river. We want to give our customers 3 simple stepping stones to cross the river safely to the other side. And so we want to let them know that it's not difficult to do business with us. Step 1 is, sign up or register for a free consultation. Step 2 is we look over your financial advice and make recommendations on where to go. And step 3, you begin to achieve your financial dreams. A 3 simple step process. We like 3 because most of our brains are wired to remember 3. Here in the US, if there's a problem, you call 911, 3 numbers. We were taught as children, if we catch on fire, to stop, drop, and roll. Our brain can remember 3. We don't want to overcomplicate it. So we want to take the process, which might be a lot of different steps, and it might be a more complicated process, and we want to dumb it down to 3 simple steps. I always like for that 3rd step to be some sort of an aspiration. Like I said, step 1, sign up for a free consultation. Step 2, we review your information and make recommendations. And step 3, you begin to achieve your financial dreams. And then we move on to the 5th part of that, and that's the call to action. Our character is reluctant to take action. If you, again, go back to see the movie Star Wars, and if you haven't, watched episode 4 of A New Hope. And at the beginning, When Obi-Wan Kenobi wants Luke to go on his quest with him, Luke at first is apprehensive. He wants to become a Jedi. He has these dreams of living up to his father's reputation. He has these dreams of he knows that there's something more that he should be doing. But when he's invited to go on the quest, he's reluctant to do it. He doesn't want to do it. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is very unclear about what this quest is going to be. It's not until Luke Skywalker returns to his home and finds that his aunt and uncle have been murdered by the Empire that's the push that he needed to go with Obi-Wan Kenobi to start on this quest to defeat the Empire. Our customer has to be called to action, and that call to action needs to be clear. Sign up for a free consultation. What is the very next step that they do? This should be the top right-hand part of your website. Should be a crystal clear button. I'll show you a few websites in just a minute. A crystal clear button of here's what we want you to do. This is the thing that when people go to your website and they look at your header, they should be able to know immediately what you do and what you want them to do. And what you want them to do is the call to action. Schedule a free consultation. Register now. Buy now. Whatever your product might be. They need to be very clear. And the reason our character needs to be called to action is because people don't take action on their own. Something has to happen for them to take action. This is true in stories. It's true in life. And then we have the transitional calls to action. And these are, what are some things of value? If people aren't ready to push that buy now button, what's something of value that I can offer them that they'll give me their email address and they'll get this free PDF, something that's going to give them immediate wins, something that's going to educate them or give them some sort of an immediate win. Maybe they're not ready to do business with you, but they're ready to give you their email address so that you can give them something of value. People will give away their email address for about as quickly as they'll give away $20 or $30. And so what is something that you can give them that will let them let go of their email address and be okay with receiving emails from you? If anything, during this pandemic, the companies that have had an email list and utilize that email list are the companies that are going to sprint out of this recession. The companies that have not built lists, that don't have lists, they're going to struggle because that list is something that you own and it's valuable. It's an extremely valuable asset. Whether you have 50 people on the list or 30,000 people on the list, that list is very valuable because those are people that have given you permission to, they want to hear from you. And so what is something of value that you can give them they'll trade their email address to get? And let's offer some quick wins with that. And I'll show you some examples of that on some of these websites. And then the final part is that the story ends in some sort of result. Most stories that we watch end in success. How do we identify and define success for our customer? What is the value of doing business with us? Our story is going to end in either success or failure, and that's what our customers are going to experience. And so we want to define those successes. What happens? What are the great successes that happen when they do business with you? When you help them solve the problem that they have, what are the great things that they have that happen with them? They achieve their financial dreams. They have more time to do what they want with the people that they love. They can retire early. They can give away and be more generous. Whatever it might be, defining some of those successes that people experience because they did business with you. But we also want to let people know what's at stake. If there's nothing at stake with doing business, with not doing business with you, then there's no reason to do business with you. If something can't be lost, if something can't be won or lost by doing business with you, then there's no reason to do business with you. So we want to let people know, here are the 3 things that we're helping you avoid. It could be pay too much in fees, or work until you die. That one's a little harsh. Maybe I wouldn't use that one. But work longer than you have to, or not enjoy the golden years of life. Something like that. What are the 3 things that you're helping your customers avoid because they're doing business with you? And we want to let people know that. What is at stake if they don't do business with you? And that's really how we tell a story. Every great story that you have read, every movie that you have watched that has been successful at the box office has those 7 elements in it. We have a character that wants something. They experience a problem that's getting in the way of what they want. And that's where the story really begins. And to say this, If you stop talking about your customers' problems, the story is over. We need to constantly talk about the problem that our customers have that we help them solve. Because if you're no longer talking about the problem, there's no story. Once the story is resolved, the problem is resolved in the movie, we're not interested in watching the movie anymore. That's why the problem gets resolved at the end of the movie. And so our character experience a problem. That problem makes them feel a certain way, and they just shouldn't have to experience a problem like that. And then we as the guide express empathy and authority. We know that we have a 3-step plan to help them win the day. So we call them to action, which is usually the first step of that plan. And that plan is going to help them. If they do that call to action, it's going to help them start experiencing success. And if they don't take that call to action, if they decide not to push that button, then they're at risk of these 3 things. And that's what we want to make very clear in our messaging when we begin to talk about our company and tell our customers why they should do business with us. We're confusing people with our messaging. We talk more about our features than we do about the benefits of doing business with us. We talk more about what we do instead of the problem that we solve. And we're often confusing our customers. And I don't care if you're in a difficult industry like financial services, or you're in something as simple as retail. We're often confusing our customers of why they should do business with us. And when we confuse our customers, we miss out on opportunities to serve them and change their lives, because they're moving on to the next person so that they can find the information and do business with the first person that they can finally understand. I want to make sure that you're that company. So that's the StoryBrand framework. Michael, I'll let you jump back on and I'll pull up some of these websites and just kind of let you take it from here of how you want to do a Q&A or walking through these websites.
Well, actually, I think that was great, Josh. Of course, I'm taking notes, as I always do, even having gone through the workshop, still notes. But I think if we were to look at some websites, so you can just take people through how they're laid out and follow the steps, that would be super.
Yeah. So I've got a few websites that I've pulled up here. And some of these, there's parts of different websites that I really like. And so I'm going to show you the parts that I like, and then I'll also show you the parts that I think could do better. These are all financial services websites that have attempted at least the StoryBrand framework. And so this is Rick Smith Insurance Services. Exceptional insurance programs give you the edge. Now, here's what I don't like about this is I feel like there's nothing that's been resolved right here. My question is the edge over what? The edge over competition, the edge over, I really am confused about exceptional insurance programs that give you the edge. This sounds exciting. It sounds like it's on the verge of something great, but I feel like it's missing something here. Start placing more business with exclusive products crafted by the world's most talented underwriters. Again, this is still a little bit vague. I'm just not quite sure what kind of insurance this company does. I'm a business owner, so obviously they have something to do with business insurance. But I want to know more. I'm not interested. I'm a little bit confused with this. And then see what we're writing. Obviously, they're writing insurance things. I don't love that as a call to action. Build a program. I mean, this is a super confusing website. They've attempted the StoryBrand framework, but here's the problem. They tried to go with clever over clear. And if you try to be clever in your copy and not clear in your copy, people are not interested. I don't care about the words that are flashy. I want to know what this company does and how they solve my problems. And this is a little bit confusing. And honestly, this is a website that attempted to do the StoryBrand framework, and I still think they've missed the mark with this part. There's a couple of things that I do like about it. Your clients are about to make you their go-to. Why? Because we build custom insurance programs that practically sell themselves. That's okay. I do like this. They've got some value stacks here. Win more business, bulletproof your book, rub elbows with the best. These are value stacks. This is the value that they can help me achieve. Build a program, send a submission. I would rather this, this isn't terrible. I just think that they could probably use words that are a little bit more clear. By elevating underwriting, we're elevating you. Risk-taking is an art, and we've assembled a guild of its finest practitioners. So we're just learning a little bit more about them. What they're missing is a plan. And I would like to see a process plan here, but it's a very clean website. I think we're building a lot of websites like this. They look great. They're clean, which is great. There's a lot of white space, which is not overwhelming to the eye, but I just think their words matter. And I think that they're not using the right words. So if we go to, this is quality audit consulting, timely mistake-proof audits that keep you compliant. Love that. Super clear. I don't have to guess not only what they do, but the problem that they solve for me. Comprehensive reports provide a clear picture for your endeavors. Schedule a call is their call to action, which is great. Schedule a call here. Find out more. That's okay. I would like to let that be more clear. It maybe says, see our services or something like that. Find out more is just still too vague. So if you're going to have another call to action here, tell them what's going to happen when they click that button. Find out more, but find out more about what. Complete your audits on time and within budget. I loved their value stacks here. Stay on schedule, avoid non-compliance, know your vendors, feel confident, manage corrective actions, reduce cost. Very good job here. People are scanning your websites. They're not reading them. They're really going through them about like what I'm doing. I didn't even read this right here. Complete your audits on time and within budget. And I didn't even read these. These are good to have. But I want my website to be scannable. I want them to be able to scroll through this and immediately see the value that they get when they work with us and scan those. I think their testimonials are a little weak. Nice job, QAC. Your audit helps. That's misspelled. Helps us complete our vendor audit schedule on time this year. There's 3 questions that I think a testimonial should answer. It's 1, what was the problem that you had before you started working with us? Did we help you solve that problem, and how? And what are the successful results you're experiencing because that problem has been solved? Now, I know in your industry, testimonials are a little bit more difficult, at least in the US they are for financial industry. But there are character references that you can do and those kind of things that can be a little bit more helpful, because people buy on peer review. When we go to buy something on Amazon, we always look at the reviews, especially if it's a big purchase. We always look at the reviews first. So this is a pretty good website. And then they list some more benefits here. And benefits are similar to features. And so they do a good job here. So this is a great website. Really like it. I still wish that they had a plan to get started. But other than that, I think it's great. This is VisionWise Capital. Anyone can invest in the stock market. VisionWise Capital adds real estate to your portfolio. So this is where they're letting me know how they're different than other companies. They're helping me add real estate to my investment portfolio. Super clear. They've obviously niched into that area. Schedule a free consultation. This is great. Great calls to action here. VisionWise Capital places commercial real estate investments within your reach. Love that line. Now they have a video here. Anytime that I'm going to put a video on my website, I want to put some copy over this website, over this video, that's going to tell me why I should watch this video. So it could be, let's say this is Jim and Jan, and it could be hear how Jim and Jan capitalized on real estate to achieve their financial dreams. And now it gives me a reason to watch this video. And here's some more value stacks here. And these value stacks are kind of like the success. So when we talked about what are the things that your customer is going to achieve, where they're going to diversify their portfolio, protect the principal, and invest with confidence. This is great value stacks here. Again, they've put their call to action again. We want to put the call to action down the homepage to remind people, here's the next step. There always needs to be a next step for your customer, and it needs to be clear. And then why VisionWise Capital? This is really an about me section. Your about you section of your website shouldn't really be about you. It should be about your customer. So I don't care about your building. I don't care how many awards you've won, that your employees love to work there. That's not pertinent usually to me in you solving my problem. Your about me section should be everything that matters and why I should hire you to solve my problem. Why are you qualified to solve my problem? So many investors miss out on real estate opportunities because they believe in investing in real estate is too complicated and too risky. Here's what they did here, and this is excellent. They opened up with the problem. The problem is the hook. Remember, the story's not interesting until the problem is introduced. They start with the problem. Anytime I do an elevator pitch for a company, that 30-second, we're riding in an elevator on the way down and somebody asks me, what do I do? I always start with the problem. Many investors miss out on real estate opportunities because they believe investing in real estate is too complicated and too risky. Ooh, I'm interested. And then they go in and they talk about their qualifications. Invest in real estate the vision-wise way. And so this is kind of their plan: buy, renovate, manage, repeat. So this is their 4-step plan to achieve their dreams with this. Schedule a call again, and then they talk about what's different. Some of the benefits here, which is great. Really great website. Love the look of it. Love the words. I think they did a great job with this one. This is a company building dreams, preserving values through biblical responsible investing. I think that's not a bad header. That's okay. That's pretty clear. There's too much going on up here. Request a meeting in client portal. I would rather request a meeting be like a button right here, the most obvious button. This is obviously what they want people to do because it is right here. Which is great. I'm glad that they have it right there. But I also want it to be more obvious over here, that request a meeting. And I don't know that I love request a meeting as much as I love schedule a meeting. That's just a little bit more direct. So these are just quick links: True Wealth Spotlight, find an advisor, and screen your portfolio. And by the way, I haven't done a ton of digging into these websites. So these are just the quick things that I noticed right up front. Here's their True Wealth plan: request a meeting, True Wealth solution, and they talk about what that is: invest according to your values. So that's their 3-step plan. Here's the one thing that I wish it had was the number 1 next to it, the number 2, and the number 3. That's going to automatically in people's minds simplify it, and they need to see those numbers. Those numbers does something in the brain. So instead of writing the number out, for 1 ONE, use the number 1, the numeral 1, and it simplifies the messaging for people and makes this feel even more simple. Click here to let us screen your portfolio. Do you know what business practices you are profiting from? Click here to let us screen your portfolio. So this is their transitional call to action. We'll do a free screen for you. And then request a meeting today. This is a great way to do authority part of the guide, to use the logos of companies that you've worked with if you can, or their strategic alliances. This gives them authority right here without tooting their own horn too much. So great homepage here. A few things that I would probably change, but overall it's pretty good. And then this is Wealthability. Schedule a call, great call to action here. Here's what I don't like. I don't like scrolling headers. Achieve your financial dream faster. This is what they want me to read. Reduce your taxes by 10 to 40% and reach your goals 18 years faster than average. Now it goes away to something else. Now it just pulled me away from the messaging that they want me to hear here. This should probably just be a block on its own down the page. This is obviously to either a webinar or a podcast that they do. But this, as a company, this is what they should want me to stick with right here. Don't scroll it away from me, because that's the messaging you want me to hear. Now you've just distracted me with whatever this is. Way more money, way less taxes, 100% confidence, own your future. Pretty good value stacks there. I think they could probably be a little bit stronger, but at least they've got the value stacks there, letting people know the value that they add to me. I guess this is a transitional call to action. I can download the debt forgiveness calculator. I'll probably have to put my email address in to download that. So if that's something that's important to me, then I'll do that. And then they'll put me into their email list and hopefully send me more emails that aren't just salesy, but they actually add more value. I like the emails that I send to people. Anytime that I send something to someone, I want them to think when they're done reading it, I'm really glad that I read that. That was extremely valuable. Whether you can offer them some quick wins in there or give them some information that they didn't know about to help them achieve their goals, whatever it is, don't just send emails selling something. Again, they're doing authority right here using these logos of companies either they've worked with or probably been on, some of these news shows and stuff that gives them authority. On average, our clients reach their financial dreams 18 years faster than the average person. That's great. And so here's their plan. Step one, I would put number one up top. I would put the numbers up top up here. Let that be first. The wealth ability process. So this is probably something that they have propriety. I would say the simple wealth ability process. And let this know that this is part of that plan. Design your plan, minimize your taxes, optimize your business, accelerate your wealth. So this is pretty good. And then they do the benefits here, how we're different. We believe you are fully capable. So they're doing some philosophical problems here, which is great. Really great website here. I think it's pretty good. This is the part that I just really don't like. Let me do just a couple of quick ones here. Vested financial planning for Gen X and Gen Y Silicon Valley tech professionals. So they have talked about their niche. This is really great. I know if I'm their client or not, which I'm not because I'm not a Silicon Valley tech professional. So financial planning for Generation X and Generation Y. Make the most out of your employee equity so you can get the most out of your life. This is great copy here. Really, really great. Book a free call. Financial planning, investment. So they talk about, here are the two things that they do. Are you vested? Financial planning services for your employee equity and beyond. And so I guess I can choose to go these two paths. And then meet Tom. Where to start with? Say, this is great. Where to start with vested financial planning. So I know when I watch this video, he's going to answer this question for me. So that's the reason I should watch that. Here's a free guide. Understanding your employee equity doesn't have to be hard. I don't love the word hard. I would probably change that to difficult. Get the free guide, the quick and easy guide to understanding. So this is their transitional call to action. I'm going to give them an email address and they're going to give me that free guide. And then they're going to put me into an email campaign that I hope gives me more value. So here's their step. Again, they're missing the numbers. I don't know why people keep not putting numbers, especially the financial guys. They're all about numbers. But 1, book a call. 2, build your plan. 3, achieve your goals. I love that they used an aspiration or a success as the third step in the plan. That's really great. Get to know your options and when to take them. So again, this is their about me section, but this isn't really about Tom. This is about Tom's customers. Really great. More authority here. Great job. Good website here. Enjoy more of life's moments. Fee-only advisors guiding clients towards a stress-free financial life. So this is pretty good. In you guys' industry, this can be a little bit confusing. Terms like fiduciary, fee-only, those kind of things, unless they've done their research, they probably don't really know what this means. So I would probably find a different way to say that. Again, we write our websites and use copy that often impresses other people in our industry, but our customers have no idea. Our other people in our industry are not buying from us. Our customers are buying from us. So let's use words that they understand and they understand quickly. Schedule a discovery meeting. Great. Finances can be overwhelming and intimidating, but they don't need to be. Working with Spartan Planning helps you. Value stacks here. Really great job. There's a call to action again. What's included in your Spartan financial roadmap, retirement planning, investments. So this is great. This talks about the different things that they do. Here's what some clients have to say. So they've got their testimonials here. Looks like they're just pulling those from Google. I'd probably want that laid out a little bit differently, but it's not a deal breaker for me. I can see all their Google reviews. I can see all their Facebook reviews, which is great. That means they're not hiding the bad ones. Look what they did. They used numbers. 1, schedule a discovery meeting. 2, get your person. This is really great. How Spartan Planning Group creates unique value for its clients. And then they go through their this is a really great website. Love it. Really good job here. And then the last one. Signature wealth strategies. Plan your future with confidence. Empowering our clients and community to plan your future. Now, again, I didn't read this word, so just know the biggest words on the page are going to be the ones that get read first. So I read plan your future with confidence. Signature wealth strategies is a wealth management practice serving families like yours in the Carolinas. And then choose a location and our services. Choose a location. I wonder if that's the best. I don't know. That's a little bit complicated, but I guess their process is probably set up this way. So it's okay if that's how they work. I don't love that as a call to action, but if that's the first step in the process, then I guess it needs to be. I would rather something that commits the client faster. Get the support you need to build the life you want. Great copy there. Without enough support, making decisions about money can be stressful, uncertain, and overwhelming. They did it. They started with the problem right there. Where do you start? What options are right for you? Does your current financial plan consider everything? This is great. They put a little bit of failure up there at the front. They hooked me with the problem that they solve. If you're a young family or professional, so they're qualifying their customer right there, and then they're going through the different offerings that they have. And then they're speaking to their other customers here. So the two different routes they can take. We aren't just financial advisors. We're parents, children, community leaders, and entrepreneurs. This is great. This is empathy. We understand your goals and empathy because we have them too. Empathy. Collectively, our advisors have more than 200 years financial services authority. So this is their whole guide section right here. This is really, really great. Again, I want to know why I should watch this video though. Here's how it works. I don't love the way that they've laid this out. It's a little complicated. 1, 2, 3. I would rather this just be laid out right in front of me, but at least they have a plan. Curious, here's how it works. I would say, instead of here's how it works, I would say something like the process is simple. Tell me it's simple. Don't make me guess that it's simple. Tell me it's simple. And their call to action here again. And then they've got their blog. This is really great. Few things that I would change, but overall, this is a really great website. So there are my website reviews for that. So Michael, I hand it back to you for the next part of this.
Well, Josh, I think that was really good. I think we should throw it open to some Q&As. Everybody can unmute themselves to ask Josh a question. I do want you at some point, Josh, to talk about the services, not just the next live stream workshop, but actually the services that you can provide people.
Okay.
And your pricing and everything else, because in my opinion, from what we've discussed, what you charge is very little compared to the benefits that people can get. I think it's absolutely clear. And I think when you do reviews of websites, I hope that the people attending today can see where you bring that value. Even just terms like our process is simple, right? Just something like that.
Cool. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
let's throw it open for
Looks like
Q&As. Ovi's got his hand up, so yeah, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I found this very, very interesting. One thing that you didn't comment on, but I'd like to have your comments about is, for example, the wealth ability compared to, the Vested and Beacon Wealth websites. Wealthability looked to me to be very, very busy. And you talked a lot about content, but you didn't talk a lot about, a clean website versus a busy one and how that factors into the whole decision-making process.
Yeah, the what we often try to do with our websites is put everything on there, and our customers don't need to know everything. We need to decide what do they need to know to take the next step. So if your website is just full of information, all that is noise. In the StoryBrand illustration, we call it bowling balls. And so imagine every piece of information that you hand your customer about your company is an 8-pound bowling ball. Most people can only hold about 3 bowling balls. And by the time you hand them the 4th one, they're going to drop all of them. And so we need to know what are the important bowling balls that we need to give our customer to move them to the next step, and everything else is just noise. And so I try to have very simple, very clear, uncomplicated websites. And if there's information that needs to be on there, maybe for SEO purposes or Maybe they've taken the next step, but they want to dive a little bit deeper after they've gotten that proposal or something like that. It definitely doesn't need to be on the homepage. I would probably move it back somewhere. Probably put the link to it in what we call the junk drawer, which is all those links at the bottom, and make the top of your website really clean. To have your call to action up at the top navigation bar and maybe a contact button, because I believe everything else people are going to look for if they want it. But in 5 seconds, they need to know if this is a company for me or not. And the more information that we put on our website and the more noise we put on there, the less likely they're going to do business with us because they're overwhelmed. We also got to realize that the eye gets overwhelmed very quickly. And so a lot of white space on your website is a good thing. Does that help, Ovi?
Yeah, thank you.
Grant, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Josh. That was great.
Absolutely.
Just a quick question about the StoryBrand book that I think Michael referred to, or maybe there's multiple books. Is there one that is the starter book, or?
Yeah, well, there's 2 books right now. There's Building a StoryBrand, which came out in October of 2017. And then there is this one right here that just came out. This is called Marketing Made Simple. And Donald Miller and JJ Peterson, who is the one of the content guys for StoryBrand, wrote this. And this is basically the execution of StoryBrand. The Building a StoryBrand gets you acquainted with the framework. It dives deeper into what we just did. This book actually shows you how to execute it, taking what you've learned about the framework and then actually using it on your website, using it in emails, using it in the lead generator, those kind of things.
Good job. So now I got to buy both books.
Yeah. Yeah. I recommend both of them.
Thank you.
Anybody else with a question?
It was so clear.
Oh boy.
Well,
I have just, unfortunately, my computer will do this and I don't know why it's done it, but it has just switched to a different set of audio speakers that I don't have installed, so I cannot hear anybody. So what I would suggest is, if no one else has any questions, Josh, maybe you can put up the link to the next live stream workshop, and also provide contact information for you, for people that might want to follow up, just with your services more directly.
Yeah. So that first link that
does Mark have a question?
Sure. Hey, Josh, Mark
Hey,
here.
Mark.
So just a quick question from, let's say, I really like what you're talking about here. It's great. But let's say from start to finish, how long would it take to revamp someone's website and get them on board with the storyboard type of process?
It depends on any bottlenecks. Every company is different. There have been some companies that I've done it in 2 weeks. And there have been some companies that we've done it in 4 months. It just depends on how many chiefs are in the room.
Right.
And so it's difficult when you're talking about a lot of different businesses. That's really personal to a lot of people. And some people feel like the way that they've gone for the last 15 years has been just great. Why do we need to change it? And so you've got to fight and move through that process. And then some people are like, we've been doing it for 15 years and it's just not working anymore. Something has to change. So let's do this. So if everyone has bought into the framework, it usually moves a lot faster. But if not all the decision makers are bought into it, and then it takes a little bit longer to do.
And in terms of judging a successful website, like metrics, we all have websites. Sometimes they're just personal, like they're brochures really, but how do you judge that a website is successful?
I mean, we can look at the analytics. We can look at, Google Analytics and those kind of things to determine, is it converting? What I really like to look at more closely is, are you making more money? Are you getting more sales? Because I like to write a website so that people know immediately if this is the company for me or not. And so we don't want the people to schedule a call with us if they're not a qualified customer. And so we've maybe made it very clear to them that they're not the customer. And so they move on. And so where I like it is are you getting more qualified leads, and are you making more money? Now, again, going into the money side of it too, there's also a sales component. I do work with sales teams to help them do better sales pitches and use the StoryBrand framework for their sales pitches. But at the end of the day, I can't make your salesman good salesmen or not. I can get them phone calls, but I can't help them close the deal. That's, we know how sales is.
Great. Thanks, Josh.
Looks like Ovi has a question again.
Yeah, Josh, as Michael suggested, could you go through the range of services you provide and what the typical costs are, if that is something you can talk about?
Yeah, so I help implement what we call the full StoryBrand sales funnel. And so that starts with building your own brand script, which is the framework that we just walked through, building that framework. So I coach through that. And then I can help you implement that framework through your website, either by rewriting your website for you or rewriting it and redesigning it for you. Where I typically work with WordPress and Squarespace sites. And then I can also help you create the email campaigns, nurturing campaigns. So when you get somebody on your website and they want to give you their email address and you put them into that funnel, I can help you write that funnel, which is usually about six to 10 emails that just follow up with the final one to close the deal, that final sales letter. And then I can also help you write lead generators too, which are those PDFs, information that people are going to trade their email address for to get value. And so we can email them a free guide or whatever that is. And I help write those and design those as well. And that really is the parts of the sales funnel is your website, your lead generator, and your email nurturing campaign with the closing sales letter. But the most important part is the brand script. That's kind of my favorite part. That's what I got to do with Michael, is coach through the building that brand script and coach them through that messaging. And with that messaging, you get an elevator pitch as well. I recommend companies, we build that elevator pitch, which is really 3 parts of the framework: the problem, the solution, and the successful results. And then I encourage them to give that elevator pitch to everybody that they give a paycheck to and make them memorize it. I worked with a company 2 weeks ago that the owner of the business gave every employee that memorized the sales pitch, the elevator pitch the next day. Any employee that memorized it, he gave them $500. And it's probably the best investment that he'll make, because now his entire payroll is his sales staff.
Great. That's great. Thanks.
Yep. So I put 2 links in the chat box. The first one is if you want to sign up for the next StoryBrand live stream and actually spend 2 days walking through that framework, diving deep into it and writing one of these for yourself. If you use that link, I'll make sure that you get into my group and we'll coach together. There's usually about 12 of us in a group. And then the link right under that, restorymarketing.com, is my business link. And that's to my website. If you want to take a look at what I do or schedule a call there, I would love to talk with you about how I can help. And with that, I think Michael still can't hear us. So if there's no other questions, I guess I will close us out. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for allowing me to be a part of this. And I hope that was helpful for you. And I encourage you at the very least to get those books, Building a Story Brand, and then Marketing Made Simple. And then sign up for the next live stream in July. And let's go through this for your business together. Got one more message.
Great, thanks. I'm too bad about my speaker. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for attending. And I especially want to thank Josh. I think it was just an awesome presentation. And I know that everyone who attended or hears the webinar later is really going to benefit from it. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you,
I wish
guys.
everybody a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.